In November of 2022, wealthy cryptocurrency dealer and business manager Oria Rebelo was arrested following an investigation into his mother's death 2 years earlier. The 26-year-old, who was in a high-profile relationship with Australian social media influencer Gracie Piscopo, was remanded into custody to face Stirling Gardens Magistrates Court on one count of murder as well as fraud charges related to the deadly crime. Back on May the 25th of 2020, 58-year-old Colleen Rebelo was found dead inside her multi-million-dollar home in the Perth suburb of Bicton. Her death hadn't initially been considered suspicious, as her body didn't present with obvious signs of injury. However, investigators uncovered that Rebelo had forged his mother's will in the days following her demise, flouting her documented wishes to have her body buried to instead have her cremated, thus destroying crucial evidence that could have revealed her manner of death. The man was accused of falsifying other records pertaining to his mother as well, including in requests for information and a death certificate. It was also detailed how his charges were, at least in part, linked to attempted life insurance fraud. Following her partner's arrest, Piscopo publicly indicated she was in utter disbelief about the allegations against him, which she said had deeply affected her and the couple's 3-year-old son. Number 5. Gleidson Acacio dos Santos. In the summer of 2021, Brazilian authorities began investigating a cryptocurrency investment firm run by Gleidson Acacio dos Santos. Through his lucrative operation, Dos Santos obtained generational wealth that allowed him to lead a lavish lifestyle, including a sizable collection of luxury cars and high-end watches. However, when investigators started taking a closer look at Dos Santos' dealings, suspicions began to arise. In August of 2021, Brazil's federal police conducted a raid of the company's business compound, wherein they seized many of the man's expensive personal belongings, along with $28.7 million in cryptocurrencies and approximately $3 million in cash. The considerable confiscation was reported as the largest crypto seizure in the nation's history. Dos Santos was playfully dubbed the Bitcoin pharaoh after it emerged that his company was nothing more than a highly profitable pyramid scheme with which he'd conned more than 122,000 investors out of their money. He and 4 co-conspirators were arrested in one of Rio de Janeiro's most expensive neighborhoods following the raid. Then in December of 2021, reports surfaced that Dos Santos and his associates were being charged in connection to a murder plot targeting the man's crypto rival, Nilson Alves da Silva. The latter, who was 44 at the time, had been shot twice while stopped at a red light earlier that year on March the 20th. Da Silva was taken to the hospital, and although he was initially pronounced to be in critical condition, he ultimately pulled through and survived. Investigators determined that the attempted hit had been put out after Da Silva began to spread rumors about Dos Santos' imminent arrest. The various charges levied against the former cryptocurrency magnate were still pending in Brazilian court as of the latest updates. Number 4. Oria Rios. On September the 22nd of 2005, millionaire real estate developer Adam Anghang was leaving the Pink Skirt nightclub in Old San Juan, Puerto Rico, when he was suddenly stabbed and beaten to death in the middle of the street. At the time of the attack, Anghang had been accompanied by his estranged wife, Oria Rios, who sustained only minor injuries. In the immediate aftermath, local authorities zeroed in on 22-year-old Jonathan Romain Rivera, a dishwasher at the club, as their prime suspect. Anghang had purchased the pink skirt as a gift to his wife, so Rivera was known to the victim and his family. As the investigation progressed, suspicions also fell upon Rios herself, who stood to reap substantial financial benefits from her soon-to-be ex-husband's death. Rivera was convicted of murder and sentenced to 105 years in prison. However, an independent FBI investigation subsequently exonerated him and instead indicted Alex Babon Colon. It eventually emerged that Colon had been offered $3 million by Rios to carry out Anne Hang's murder. Facing the inevitability of prosecution, Vasquez Rios fled jurisdiction to Italy. While abroad, the woman reportedly sued the parents of her dead husband, claiming they cheated her out of her rightful inheritance. Her case was ultimately dismissed, however, and in 2013 she was arrested in Spain. In court, prosecutors detailed how Vasquez Rios had directly communicated with Colón and other co-conspirators on and before the day of Anne Hang's murder. She, her sister, and her sister's ex-boyfriend were each found guilty of multiple counts, including conspiracy and the use of an interstate facility in murder for hire. In March of 2019, the U.S. Justice Department released a statement revealing that Vasquez Rios had been sentenced to life in prison for the crime. Number 3. Ed Buck. Ohio-born businessman Ed Buck was arrested in 2019 following a series of suspicious incidents at his home in West Hollywood, California. After beginning his career as a model and actor in Europe, Buck worked for a friend's data service company, which he subsequently bought out of bankruptcy and renamed Gopher Courier. 5 years after the purchase, Buck sold Gopher Courier for a significant profit. Now a millionaire, Buck shifted his focus to the political sphere, leading the effort to recall Arizona Governor Evan Meacham from office over allegations of racism and corruption. According to the Arizona Republic, the anti-Meacham campaign made Buck a household name in Arizona politics in the late 1980s. He subsequently relocated to West Hollywood, where he unsuccessfully ran for city council in 2007. The millionaire largely stayed out of the headlines in subsequent years until a young African-American man named Gemel Moore was found dead at his apartment in July of 2017. Emergency crews came upon Moore, an escort, lying naked on a mattress in Buck's living room with an adult film playing on the television. The police uncovered adult toys, syringes, and plastic bags filled with what was suspected to be methamphetamine at the residence. Although the LA County Coroner's report placed Buck at the scene of Moore's death, the district attorney declined to prosecute him. When news of the incident surfaced, rumors began to circulate regarding Buck's alleged history of luring young black gay men to his apartment, where he would inject them with methamphetamine for his own twisted gratification. In January of 2019, another African-American man, identified as 55-year-old adult film actor Timothy Michael Dean, was found dead in Buck's home under similar circumstances as Moore before him. The following September, Buck was taken into police custody and charged with 3 counts of battery causing serious injury, administering methamphetamine, and maintaining a drug house. The arrest occurred after a 37-year-old man was injected with meth at Buck's residence but fortunately survived. In April of 2022, having been convicted of 9 federal charges, Buck was sentenced to 30 years in prison. Today's topic was requested by Michael Batts. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Peter Chadwick. The lives of an affluent family from Newport Beach, California, were irreparably destroyed one day in October of 2012. Real estate developer Peter Chadwick, who'd earned millions of dollars during the course of his professional career, hadn't picked up his sons from the bus stop after school, nor had his wife of 21 years, Ki Cho. The following morning, Peter got in contact with San Diego authorities, telling them Ki Cho had been murdered by a house painter named Juan, who'd subsequently forced him to remove his wife's body from their house, which rested within a purportedly secure, gated community. Law enforcement immediately found Peter's story suspicious, and after further investigation, he was arrested on suspicion of committing the murder himself. Upon being freed on a $1 million bond, Peter fled south to Mexico, where he remained on the run for several years. According to official reports on his time as a fugitive, the man used a number of aliases to avoid recognition, including the name Paul Cook. He moved from small town to small town until eventually settling in the city of Pátzcuaro, 4 hours west of Mexico City, where he bought a condo and found a job. To explain his solitude, Peter claimed that his family had been on board the infamous Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 that disappeared in 2014. In May of 2016, he was involved in a car crash that claimed the life of a local woman named Claudia Soto and left her sister in a coma for 15 days. Although he wasn't ultimately found to have been criminally liable for the deadly accident, Peter left Pátzcuaro in the aftermath, fleeing to a town called Valle de Bravo. Shortly thereafter, however, the man saw an investigative report on TV detailing the U.S. Marshals' attempts to locate him. Panicked by the news of the escalating manhunt, Peter skipped town once again. In August of 2019, he was finally tracked down by the authorities after nearly 5 years on the run. He later pleaded guilty to strangling and drowning his wife, following an argument over the possibility of divorce. In February of 2022, then 57-year-old Peter was sentenced to 15 years to life behind bars. Number 1. Andrew Rodriguez. A self-described multi-six-figure earner from New Braunfels, Texas, was arrested for running over a man on a moped on the night of June the 5th of 2021. 34-year-old Andrew Rodriguez, who reportedly earned his millions through cryptocurrency investments, had gone to Las Vegas to celebrate his birthday. While driving to a party with his fiancée, 24-year-old Sabrina Junga, in the passenger seat of his Lamborghini Huracan, Rodriguez reached speeds of up to 141 miles per hour. As he blazed down Russell Road near Decatur Boulevard, the man slammed into the back of a moped being ridden by 58-year-old Walter J. Anderson. The impact of the collision was such that Anderson was cut in half, with his torso reportedly landing more than 200 feet away from the rest of his body. The moped was crushed beneath the Lamborghini. Upon the arrival of law enforcement, Rodriguez emerged from the wreckage and said, "I just killed someone." Although it's unclear whether Rodriguez was administered a sobriety test at the scene, officers immediately noted the smell of alcohol, as well as the fact that the man's eyes were watery and bloodshot. He subsequently faced a felony charge of DUI resulting in death, the second DUI on his record. Back in September of 2015, the self-made millionaire had been pulled over while driving drunk in El Paso, Texas. Rodriguez's Mercedes had expired tags, and he had trouble keeping his balance while speaking with the police. He later pleaded guilty to DUI, for which he was given a suspended 1-year jail sentence. His probationary period had concluded in January of 2019. For the fatal Las Vegas accident, Rodriguez was given a prison term of 6 to 20 years. Anderson's family expressed dissatisfaction with the punishment, claiming the drunk driver should have been charged with murder. Thanks for watching. Would you rather inherit a large estate and lead a comfortable but purposeless life, or work extremely hard for decades, affording you and your descendants financial security in the process? Let us know in the comments section below.